Hello, good evening and welcome to my humble Motoroy, Bedstead Junction. It's Sunday the 29th of September and we're about 20 to 10 in the evening. Just about to shoot another video for you. Now I've reached the landmark of 500 subscribers. So first of all, I'd like to thank everybody who's been subscribing to my channel, been watching my videos, all those people who have left kind comments and hints and tips and things. Thank you very, very much, and I'll always be grateful to everyone who's done that for me. And I had no idea this channel would actually grow to this size when I first started. And anyway, so here we are. And now tonight, we're going to be covering the Somerset and Dorset Joint Railway. I've done it before, but we've got a new locomotive. You would have seen me review this in more detail on my previous video. And that's the 4F in Somerset and Dorset Joint Railway Prussian Blue livery. But you're going to get a chance tonight to see one in BR Black, which is a Bachmann model, and another two Somerset and Dorset locomotives. So it's going to be a running session with at least 4 engines on here tonight. And without any further ado, let's get round and see the first locomotive. So the first locomotive we're going to see in action tonight is a freight train, and it's being pulled by a 7F by Bachmann. I bought this locomotive some considerable time ago, and it was an eBay purchase, and I bought this second hand. Now at the time, these were a little bit more difficult to get. I mean, there was the pandemic was going on at the time, and it seemed like the price of locomotives were going up. Probably more people were having to stay in, like me, and we're actually going to be resuming or taking up the hobby, and so I paid a bit of a premium for this one. You can get them at a fairly reasonable price. Now there's two different versions, and they're a very, very huge difference in price between the two. Now you're going to get them either in BR Black, Somerset and Dorset Black, or Somerset and Dorset Joint Railway Prussian Blue. And the models that appear to be fetching a premium are the ones in Prussian Blue. Now, not to say that the other models aren't nice models, because they are. It depends on how much you want to have a model in Prussian Blue, okay, or you're willing to pay the premium. Now Hornby have actually offered an alternative, which we'll be having a look at, and I did, like I say, I did a review on that a couple of days ago. That's been quite popular, so a lot of you would have already seen that perhaps. Now freight trains, the 280 locomotive, before then, the Midland Railway had always been adopting a small engine policy, and the biggest freight locomotive they had at the time, they still probably say one or two sort of one-off locomotives, were 060s. Those were the general locomotives used, medium freight, and of course it meant a lot of double heading of locomotives, and in fact that's what caused them really to desist from this small engine policy. And that policy went on right into the 1920s. The Somerset and Dorset's unique in that there's some very steep gradients, and I think there's a climb you go up to Radstock, I believe, that's in 1 in 50, and then from there another climb in 1 in 50 going up to Masbury Summit. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong about that, but certainly there are two lots of 1 in 50 gradients from Bath Green Park till it reaches the summit of the railway coming out of Bath at Masbury Summit. So these locomotives are especially designed for the Somerset and Dorset Joint Railway. I believe that 11 were built, 2 are preserved, 53808, which has been on the West Somerset Railway quite a lot, and there's 53809, which many moons ago I believe was at the Midland Railway Centre at Butterley, but they may have actually changed locations since then. Very, very useful locomotive for the Somerset and Dorset Joint Railway. This is a very nice model by Bachmann. Got all the things you'd expect to get on a premium model, like a fully detailed cab, glazed cab, sprung buffers, lots of separately fitted detail. Very, very nice. And they are definitely worth seeking out if the Somerset and Dorset Joint Railway is one of your interests. Now for me, it's because I live relatively local to the Somerset and Dorset Joint Railway, and to be honest, I really need to get out there to explore the track, because a lot of the track's been repurposed as a 2 tunnel greenway, and that's a chance to explore Devonshire Tunnel and Combe Down Tunnel. Combe Down Tunnel is about a mile long and the longest unventilated railway tunnel in the country. You can imagine one of these locomotives with a heavy freight. I think it went downhill. If you're leaving Bath, it went downhill roughly from the mouth of the tunnel, because that's where the banking engines actually detach themselves. So if it would have been on a northbound freight, but the locomotives would have been working the hardest. Freight's very, very important part of our railways. And of course freight has been making a bit of a comeback on our railways. If you imagine, I mean, okay, the railways were beginning to lose, some of the railways were losing money, or some parts of our railway network were losing money, but the decision was to axe about 5,000 miles of track in the beaching axe, and one of those railways unfortunately was the Somerset and Dorset Joint Railway. The S&D closed on the 6th of March 1966, but I believe that freight was diverted away from the railway in 1964. And in fact, from 1964 onwards, in the last couple of years, the Somerset and Dorset was in fact closed at night. Here we go, but there we go, this is a 7F. And coal would have been one of the major cargoes actually taken by the Somerset and Dorset Joint Railway, because it happens to run through some very, very large coal fields. Well, the Somerset coal field was quite big. And that for some of you might be another actual subject to research, the Somerset coal field. Of course nowadays coal is treated like a dirty subject, isn't it? And it's a shame really, because we've got a huge resource that we've left buried beneath the ground. That's just my opinion anyway. Now here we go, we've got the lovely, let's say, beautiful locomotive here. I think it's a 280. 280s were not that common when these came out. When the first 280s, I believe, to arrive in Britain were the GWR 78XX classes by Churchward. For heavy freight. And 280s were used quite a lot. In fact, it went on to into the 7F. The 8F was a 280. The 9F was a 210. So it was seen that obviously more driving wheels were bound to potentially give you more traction. Now if you just bear with me just a moment, we can have a look and see what we're looking at. We have a fair amount of stuff out tonight, so please be patient. It's a 31015 class 7F280 13810 LMS black, 21 pin DCC, so it's a fairly modern railway locomotive. Just in case you want to look out for one yourself. And this one is in LMS livery. The LMS, along with the Southern, took over the Somerset and Dorset Joint Railway and formed the Somerset and Dorset Joint Railway in 1875. Before then, it was an independent company. And in fact, it was building the extension from Evercreech Junction to Bath that finally exhausted the resources of the Somerset and Dorset Joint Railway, and it was then given up, and the LMS and the Southern took over the running of it. Later, in 1959, I believe, the Somerset and Dorset Joint Railway came under the Western Region of British Rail, and it's the Western Region of British Rail that were blamed, a lot of people have blamed for the decline of the Somerset and Dorset Joint Railway, and I don't think that's entirely fair. Unfortunately, the 1960s, especially during the Bleaching Acts, you were looking at a bloodbath of the Big Four, 5,000 miles of track disappearing, and in fact it was the Western Region of British Rail that agreed to put 9Fs on the Somerset and Dorset Joint Railway in order to pull trains like the Pines Express, and also to minimise double-heading. You can hear a little bit of a rattle as my train goes over the level crossing. That's my China clay wagon doing that. When you can see at the back, you have the blue wagon. Now I think what we're going to do is going to run this one into the goods yard, and it's going to deliver its goods of Smith's crisps, KP peanuts, sacks of salt, bananas, 5 bananas, and China clay. It's got a very little train, isn't it, tonight? And we've got obviously the GWR brake van. I don't have any LMS brake vans at the moment. In fact, that's one of the things that's on my shopping list. But I'll probably get on the internet tonight or tomorrow to have a look. Right, so let's slow this one down. Get just before the junction. We'll focus on the junction itself now, and then we'll watch this one come into the station. Right, so you can see the good shed that it's aiming for. We just flip the point over. There we go. Right, and in we go. So we're going to deliver our freight chain. Look at that, beautiful. Straight into the station. Right, so we should have plenty of room for our next train to come out, and it's just up in the hiding in the corner there behind the 7F in my local branch passenger station. So we just need one flick of the points and we'll be bringing this one out. Now we've got two contrasting models here really. We're going to be seeing Hornby Railroad along with Bachmann premium models. As far as I know, Bachmann don't do a variation or version of the railroad range. It's Hornby that have been doing this, and in many ways Hornby are to be applauded for trying to bring affordable models to us. And it's all down, but with the railroad range, it's all down to whether or not there's features you absolutely cannot live without. Okay, so this is what we're going to do now. We're going to be coming out, and this is the Jinty. Okay, out of the junction. It's putting a BR Mark 1 coach and it's in SDJR livery. So we'll just go and point the camera towards the signal box now, and it'll come round in just a second. Okay, just bear with me, and round it comes. Okay, so this is a Hornby Railroad locomotive. The Hornby Railroad locomotives, they're usually based on older toolings, less detail, but that's what makes the Hornby Railroad range more affordable. And the locomotive we're looking at here is our 30316 S&DJR Somerset and Dorset Joint Railway Class 3F Jinty 060T number 20. And again, this one is in the lovely Prussian Blue livery. I believe this one is in the Hornby catalogue as we speak, so if you want that one, I do believe they are available still. I think mine cost about 70 odd quid, maybe 80. That's the model there we're looking at now, going round. Now the Jinties were very, very useful locomotives. Probably the equivalent of what would the panniers might have been on the Great Western. In that they're an 060 locomotive, designed for light freight passenger duties, and what these were often seen doing was acting as banking engines, assisting 7Fs over the gradients of the Somerset and Dorset Joint Railway. And in fact, if you have a look at Ivo Peters' films, you will see footage of a Jinty banking a train. And in fact, what they used to do was detach the Jinty just before Coombe Down Tunnel, because that's where the line started to go downhill for a while. Then you sweep down through Midford Station and on towards a place like Midsummer Norton and Radstock, and eventually, of course, reaching the summit of the railway in Marsbury Summit. And what these Jinties would do would go back, I think, wrong line back down to the Bath Junction. Let's say it's a lovely little locomotive. You wouldn't expect a railroad locomotive to have the same level of detail as the Bachmanns, okay? So you're not going to get sprung buffers, detailed cab, far less separately fitted parts. The coal load is going to be a little bit more lumpy, let's say. But it enables you to get something you can run on your railway, and also I think for the younger modeler, probably this is something you can get out of the box without worrying about bits falling off. And in fact, I mean, some people criticise the railroad range for the lack of detail, the older toolings, etc, etc, but I actually applaud the railroad range for making things affordable for us. And I've got everything ready, ranging from £30 Lima models like bolts, which I've happily running on this railway, right way through to £200 plus locomotives, like my beautiful 9F, which I just recently bought. The Black Prince. This train you can see here is putting a BR Mark 1 coach. If it was a one coach train you're putting over the S&D, it'd possibly be putting a little bit more of an ancient coach. And there used to be a service, I believe, that ran from Bath Green Park up until Binninger. So that would probably would have been dealing with all the local commuters services, all the smaller stations like Midford. Yeah, the Jinty is a very nice little locomotive. Like I say, I've done a review on this locomotive. I think you need to look at that and you need to explore the railroad range before you commit to buying a railroad locomotive. Take a look and see. In fact, the best place to see a model is in the model shop, isn't it, before you decide to buy. But plenty of railroad models have been reviewed by people like me, by Sam's Trains, 80 Pullin and such people, and you can get a good idea what you're buying. Really, like I say, is while you're watching this locomotive go around in circles, are you that worried about if you could get a locomotive for say less than £100 nowadays? Are you that worried about sprung buffers, elaborate cab detail, an ultra realistic coal load, that sort of thing? While you're watching it go round from a fair distance, you might not be that concerned. But that's all down to personal preference. Okay, so what we're going to do in a moment, we're going to run our lovely little Jinty into its passenger station, and then we can move on to locomotive number 3. So really what you've seen up there, you've seen the Bachmann premium model of a 4F, sorry, of a 7F. Getting a bit late, sorry, it was a 7F, wasn't it, 280. You're going to get sprung buffers, detailed cab, all the things you'd normally expect on a premium locomotive, whereas on this one, railroad model, slightly less detailed. Now in a minute you're going to be looking at the 4F by Hornby and the 4F by Bachmann, and you would think that the Bachmann would squash the Hornby under its wheels, okay? And to me, in my own mind, it's not that clear cut, okay? Not that clear cut. Everything again comes down to personal preference and what's important to you as a modeler. So let's put our Jinty into the station now. Let's turn the camera around. Let's slow down just before the junction. Okay, so we'll just focus on the junction there. Then we can watch the Jinty going into the station. It's an 060, and as you can see, it handles points perfectly well. No problem with that at all. Straight over. We're switching to the main line. And in a moment, we'll be looking at a pair of 4F locomotives. Right, so what we've got here side by side is a model of a 4F by Hornby and a 4F by Bachmann. There's your Hornby one. I've just recently reviewed that one, and that was starting to appear in the shop, so I only just got this on a pre-order, and if I ordered this locomotive quite considerable time ago, and it suddenly appeared a presto through my door. They were quite good actually. The experience of buying from Hornby was not bad. Okay, in fact it was fine. You pay a bit of a premium going through Hornby, but they did actually keep good communication. I think it was DH, and the actual courier communicated well with me as well on this. So yeah, very, very good. If I just bear with just a moment. No, right, so let's take a look at the main differences. I just need you to just clear my head for a second. Right. Two different locomotives, two different kettles of fish entirely. But is it that clear cut? Railroad range or Railroad Plus range? This one, brand new locomotive, about £130 from the retailers at the moment, and that's even after Hornby's price increases. It's about 150 on their actual website. I picked this one up for about 140 from the Hornby website. And in the background, the Bachmann I bought second hand as an eBay purchase. That cost me about £80. But, and here's your big but, this one is in the beautiful Somerset and Dorset Prussian Blue. This one's in black, and lovely model, the black one. But if you want one in Somerset and Dorset Prussian Blue, there's a Bachmann version second hand. Bear in mind, second hand, over £200. In fact, there's one for over £200, and in fact, there's another one on there for over £300. So if you wanted to get a Bachmann, the Bachmann version of this in the Prussian Blue Somerset and Dorset Joint Railway livery, you would have to pay an enormous premium. Now, even though this locomotive lacks a lot of the features of the Bachmann, so no sprung buffers, no glazed windows, no detail cab, virtually no detail underneath, you do get it in this beautiful livery. Also, the whistle's probably a little bit larger on here than what they are on the Bachmann model. The coal load, the Bachmann coal load, very nice sparkly coal load. This one here possibly reveals that as an older tooling. And in fact, this locomotive here goes right back to the days of Airfix. The main difference is it's no longer tender driven, it's loco driven. Okay. If you could live without the sprung buffers, the glazing, the cab detail, the detail underneath, then I can wholeheartedly recommend this model if you want to get something in the Somerset and Dorset Joint Railway Prussian Blue livery. It's a pre-grouping livery, whereas the Bachmann, even though it's a far more superior model in many ways, it's got the detail cab, glazed windows, sprung buffers, all those other things which the Hornby Railroad model lacks. Okay, this one is still a nice one. Okay, so let's have a look and just see now. So there's in life there's always plus and minus points. You've got to decide sometimes what you want. I've got both. I've got the best of both worlds. I've got a Hornby model and a Bachmann model. Okay, so without any further ado, let's go into reverse and we'll watch how the Bachmann performs. Now, just see if I set the points correctly. I have. Now, if I was being thoroughly honest, okay, performance wise, I'd have no problem recommending either the Hornby version or the Bachmann version. They're both lovely models performance wise. And watch this one go around the track, and we'll talk a little bit more about it, and also I'll dig out the box so you can see what the model is, just in case you fancy one yourself. Okay, right, so change of points and away we go. Right. Very good performance on these. They're an 060 locomotive, like I say, and they were really, up until the arrival of the larger 7Fs and 8Fs, these were practically the standard freight locomotive of the Midland Railway. Now on this locomotive, watching it go round, you know that you are looking at a premium model, okay, no doubt about it. And when the model stops, you can tell. Right, you've got the coal load, the cab detail, all those additional separately fitted parts signifies that this is a premium model. And I have to say, really, all of my Bachmann models I bought have been very nice runners. Probably the only problem you'll ever get with Bachmann that I know of, I mean this is obviously my own personal knowledge, is the early split chassis locomotive ones. And even though a lot of people have said the axles were vulnerable, that wasn't the main problem with the early Bachmann split chassis models. It was the wheel inserts. They used to swell and foul the connection rods, and in fact it caused one of my locos to be destroyed. But that was the old split chassis models. The more modern locomotives nowadays by Bachmann, really, really nice. Once you go to the country station, and yes, even though these were principally built for freight, these locomotives can very often be seen pulling local passenger trains consisting of 3 coaches, and also double heading on express passenger locomotives, express passenger trains. The Somerset and Dorset Joint Railway, it was an interesting one, like I say, because of the steep gradients which are on it, and the fact that it was taking busy summer Saturday express traffic down to Bournemouth West. They literally had to press almost anything into service, but I don't think the Somerset and Dorset were unique in that. This is in BR black with the early BR crest. So this would have been the livery worn by these locomotives from about 1948 through to 1956. It was then that the later crest came out, and that would have been what they would have had right up until the end of steam. Oh, freight locomotive, plain black. But very nice, very nice. Let's have a look and see what we've got. I need to move a few boxes about and I can show you what we're looking at here now. Let's just turn the camera around a little. There we are, let's get focus on here now. We'll zoom out just a little. So we're looking at 31881 Class 4F 060 43875 BR black early emblem. Okay, so that's what we're looking at going around the track now. Very, very nice model. I paid about £80 for this. Well, I do believe you can still get them for that price. Second hand, of course. Nice pullers. Lovely, look at that. And they're pulling 3 Hornby Southern Railway coaches. That in many ways quite in order, because from what I can gather, in the beginning, at least in the beginning, it was the Midland Railway that were responsible for supplying the locomotives, and the Southern provided the rolling stock. But later on, you could see Southern Railway, you could see everything on the Somerset and Dorset, and in fact that was the whole appeal of it. You could see Bullet Pacifics, you could see 9Fs, the 7Fs, the 4Fs, Class 4s and 5s, Black 5s, almost everything, anything really. That would enable the Somerset and Dorset to get his trains up over those steep gradients, especially on those busy summer Saturdays. You imagine it was just not just on here on the Somerset and Dorset, but it's on most railways, at least up until the early 1960s. The summer Saturday changeover, where everybody would suddenly land on a particular resort like Bournemouth West. But then there'd also be all the people wanting to go home. This one would have separately fitted lamp irons, all kinds of things, and a fully decorated cab, fully detailed cab. really no comparison to a railroad model. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to bring this one into the station, and we're going to be looking at our last locomotive, which is the beautiful, in my opinion, Hornby 4F. And I explained to you a lot about the railroad range, because for those of you who are not that acquainted with it. What's the difference between the railways range, and the difference between all of those and what's offered by companies like Bachmann? Usually Bachmann as a general rule, let's say. Okay. Right, so a quick change of points, and we'll be going into the station. So I just jarred the tripod there. Oh, it's getting a bit late now actually, but I thought I'd persist and persevere, get this video done. Right, so in we go. No problem with points. And in fact, it's a fairly difficult junction, this one, which this locomotive is just negotiated. There we are. So right, so our last locomotive is the lovely Hornby 4F. Now, two different animals. They might look the same, but they're two different animals. As far as I'm aware, Bachmann don't have a budget range like Hornby. Okay, so normally if you're looking at a full fat sort of locomotive from Bachmann, you're looking at over £200 now. In fact, Hornby's going the same way with their locomotives. They're over £200 now for their locomotives, if you want a fully detailed up-to-date model. But Hornby do offer the railroad range. Now what the railroad range is a more economically priced range, okay? So less detail. Very often they'll be using old toolings, okay, older toolings, because that reduces the manufacturing costs, okay? Features will be missing because it's an older tooling, but you'll get the chance of buying a locomotive at an affordable cost. And this is where the affordable cost comes in, because if you wanted, let's say, this livery on the Bachmann, you're talking it well over £200 for a second-hand model. People know what they've got. I think they're collected. The ones in Prussian Blue livery from Bachmann are all kind of collector club limited editions, and anyone who's selling them know what they're getting, know what they've got there. So if you see one at a good price and it's in good condition, snap it up. Okay. Now the alternative to that is the less detailed but still very, very attractive Hornby version. This is basically the Airfix version, but with the motor moved into the loco instead of tender driven. You don't get sprung buffers, you don't get clear cab, you don't get cab detail painted, and there's not much detail underneath. But the livery is very, very nice. I think they've nailed the livery, to be truthful. Really nice on there. I would say these are available brand new for about £130, £139. Where do I see one on sale? They're at the dealers now. I got mine from Hornby itself. Oh, £139.95. So that's virtually the same price what I paid from Hornby before they put their prices up. If you're going to get one of these from Hornby themselves, you're talking about £150. Okay. So to have something that's affordable, even though it's an older tooling and it lacks a lot of the features you'll find on the Bachmann version, I think this is just my opinion and personal preference, okay? Before anybody decides to jump all over me on this, I would say that Hornby are to be applauded sometimes for making their railroad versions available. And if sprung buffers, fully glazed cab, detailed cab, and detailed underneath, which you can't see anyway, can you? Usually, you can live without those features. This model's fine. Okay, absolutely fine. Here we go. Our last change of points, and then we'll be moving on to watching our last locomotive go round. Okay, so let's get underway if we can. There we go. Right, now I've got a D-rod coach. Okay, so we'll just see to that in a moment. Right. Let's zoom out a little. Let's bring this train towards me. And we'll see if we can sort out this little derailment. These coaches are very old, old coaches. And I think they've basically, unless I get alternative bogies for them, I think they're basically at it now, these coaches. They are derailing now quite a lot. Let's have a look. Right, well, it appears to have righted itself. Okay, so maybe I'll keep these going for a while longer. This is the Hornby 4F in Prussian Blue livery. Now, it's been virtually marketed almost as a full, it's been put in a full fat box, okay? And it looks very nice on the box, doesn't it? It looks very attractive. It's got this NEM coupling. It's been updated in some ways, but it does lack quite a few features. So it's a R30285 S and DJR Fowler 060 plus 4F number 61. Okay, so there we go. Let's get focus on that for you. DCC ready. I believe there's an 8-pin decoder on this one. And it is, like I say, basically an adaptation of an older Airfix Thule. Personally, I mean, I bought this really knowing that. I mean, if you have a look at the review of the 4Fs by Sam Strange, and he's actually he reviewed the 4F, which was in the Railway Children pack. Again, it's a similar kind of thing. But with the Railway Children pack, I mean, that was, for the film, I think it was a little bit dubious, that one. But that's my opinion. But this one in the Somerset and Dorset Joint Railway livery, I think this is a lovely model. And it does make up for those features which it lacks. Really nice model. Okay, I did a review of this. It goes to show the interest actually in these locomotives, because that was one of the most popular videos that I've made in a long time. Now, one of the differences between this model and the Bachmann model is that this one's got a pair of traction tyres on one of its pairs of driving wheels. Now, traction tyres, I can probably sense somebody who actually spitting on the ground now at the mention of them. It depends on what you've got, what kind of locomotive you've got. On some of these railroad models, yes, you do need traction tyres to up them along a bit. It means, of course, you've got tremendous pulling power. I've got no preference one way or the other with them. I've seen what happens if you remove traction tyres from some of these models that I really had them. and you've really basically got a locomotive that's potentially going nowhere, I won't pull the skin off a roast pudding. Like this one, you've got nice level of pulling power, and watching it go round, you wouldn't really mind, would you? I say, I'm in the camp that if they've got traction tyres on the locomotive, I'm going to keep them. I'm not going to sort of go around messing around, sort of putting on different wheels and trying to get rid of them. Other people might feel the other way. Well, again, it's all down to personal preference. But it's a nice little model. Okay, a little bit crude on the whistles, perhaps. They're a little bit big, those whistles, but they are in metal. No sprung buffers, like I say, no detailed cab, no glazing on the cab. Coal load's a bit lumpy. Don't sound like I'm doing a very good job of selling it, do I? But on the other hand, it's still, because they've really nailed delivery, in my opinion. This is a lovely, lovely locomotive. Is it worth a space or collection? I said in my review, my main review, which I've just recently shown, yeah, of course. I reckon it's well worth a place in my collection at least. And as long as you bear in mind that it's an older tooling, yes, it should be worth a place in your collection too. Right, so we're going to wrap things up now. Pardon me, because things are getting a bit late. If you like what you see, please press the like button and subscribe. And don't forget to ring that bell. And I've reached 500 subscribers. And thank you for all those who have subscribed. I do appreciate every one of you. This is one thing I really appreciate. I never thought this little railway would be this popular. And okay, when you build a little modern railway, I mean, you take it to different levels. I've sort of gone scenic on some previous railways I've had. I've even helped it out on exhibitions in the past. But to be honest with you, I mean, this little railway, I quite enjoy using it. It's only 6 feet by 4 feet. And I'm just really pleased that, you know, you've got the interest in watching trains run on here. You know, I've tried to, I really have, looking at all the different junctions and things here and sidings, I have the sort of grabbed a quarter into a pint pot. It's a fully mobile layout. But like I say, for those of you who have subscribed now, 500 subscribers, I'm really, really honoured that you've actually want to watch my videos. And on that basis, or on that note, let's say, I'm going to bid you farewell and good night.